him a shot to do what?
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, aka The Shy Kid, and you are listening to the Shy Kid podcast, only presented by Give Us a Shot Network. So give us a shot, give us a like. Make sure you hit that follow button if you haven't already, because before this show goes on, we have to talk about what everybody's doing at this network right now. Amazing things 24/7, from Protect Our Queens to Mike and Bert and Corey and Germ and everybody around the sun who's doing amazing shows 24/7. If I left anybody out, I love you. And there are so many other amazing shows, but you'll have to go figure that out for yourself. I ain't just gonna give you the whole playbook. You got to go in there, go figure some things out. Give us a shot. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms now, because we are in there like swimwear every day. I know Marcus just finished his Green Bay Packers show, but it's an amazing show, even though it's not from, it's not my taste. It's not my taste whatsoever, but it is a very well put together show. So you can just check that out. They were live about 15 minutes ago. You can check that out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere around the sun. Make sure you give us a shot. But let's get into it, man. Sparks were flying at Skytown last night. We were in there like swimwear, the final game of the first homestand as they take on the Indiana Fever tomorrow. Hopefully, Camila Cardoso. We got so much to talk about it more, but let's stay in tune on what we saw last night. The spark, the engine of the Chicago Sky, Chennedy Carter. We're going to get into it and more, talk about everything going on with the Chicago Sky organization, what we've seen thus far. We have a couple interviews from Marina, Mabrey, and head coach Teresa, Weatherspoon. We're talking about the Skytown fan base and, of course, Chennedy Carter's impact off the bench for the Chicago Sky. Let's get into it, man. Let's have a real conversation right now, because there's so many different things we could talk about, so many different narratives that we could push. But right now, 83-73 win over the Sparks. We're facing off against two top 5 picks in both Rika Jackson and Cameron Brink. Now, Cameron Brink in this game wasn't great whatsoever. We're going to look at the numbers right now because we have the box score in hand. With that being said, let's get into it. Hamby did what she does best: 24 points, 3 steals, 13 rebounds, 10 of them defensive rebounds. We know who she's going to be. But Cameron Brink, minus 16 in the plus minus, which was kind of interesting to me. 7 points, only 6 rebounds. All of them were defensive rebounds. Rika Jackson as well. I'm going to say this. This was the quietest 10 points I had ever seen, and like 4 of them came later in the fourth quarter in garbage time. Wasn't great whatsoever. Obviously, we understand she's coming off a little bit of an injury, so we're going to give her that grace. But we haven't seen much from the Lady Vols thus far. So I'm excited to see what the future holds between the two. I think they're going to be great for the foreseeable future. But Angel Reese and Elizabeth Williams, more than anything, was absolutely dominant. Let's talk about Big E for a second. We got to talk about Elizabeth Williams. She had 4 offensive rebounds, 7 defensive rebounds, 11 rebounds overall, and 17 points. She was plus 15 in the plus minus. She had 4 steals on the night. I mean, Elizabeth Williams has just been everywhere thus far. I think there is no animosity in this ball club. There is no, ill will on each other, I guess you could say. All they do is continue to feed off of each other. And I love that, because Elizabeth Williams or any center on this team could have seen Jeff Pagliocca and Teresa Weatherspoon coming into the organization, drafting Angel Reese and bringing in, obviously, Camila Cardoso, Brianna Turner, Michaela. There's so many other people you brought into this organization who kind of play the similar position to you. And instead of taking that the wrong way, instead of, oh, well, it's a competition and I'm going to win a spot, she's just been great as a leader, as a human, as a teammate. She has been phenomenal. And that's something that I wanted to point out first and foremost, because, there's always all these narratives of, in the W, everyone's fighting for a spot. And they are. Come on, Brenna Maxwell, 13th overall pick, not on a roster right now in the entire WNBA. So it's definitely worrisome for a lot of players on whether or not they're going to make it. Big E, I don't think ever had a doubt in her mind that what she was going to bring to the table. She was phenomenal overseas. She was phenomenal last year. Her career has been astounding. I've always said it. She is one of the most intelligent players in the entire WNBA. But my focal point and my whole reasoning into why I said what I said right there is because this team goes up to bat for each other. This team goes up to bat and they want each other to have success. And I love that. I mean, E probably wants to see Camilla out there just as fast as anybody else, as Camilla wants. You know, I mean, and I love that about this team. And I wanted to point that out because I find it so important, so key to having a positive locker room, to really embrace each other, both the veterans, the rookies, the players who have been maybe you're not a vet, but you're definitely not a rookie, year 2, year 4 player. I remember last year I called Dana Evans a vet, and I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it, Dana. I'm sorry. But it's definitely one of those things where, you continue to see them grow between Angel and Elizabeth Williams, and you see their camaraderie and you see that chemistry. Teresa Weatherspoon's talked about it a million times, what it means to really play on this team, that grit and grind. We're going to hit you in the mouth first. And I've heard Chennedy say that. I've heard Dana say that. I've heard Coach say that. That's kind of their MO right now, is we're going to hit you in the mouth and that shit's going to hurt. You know what I mean? And if you get back up, we're going to do it again. And it's just what it is, point blank, period. And I love that about this team. This team is fighting. Elizabeth Williams has been the focal point of this team, an anchor defensively, but also an offensive scorer. I mean, yeah, that was one of the things I felt like we lacked after the loss of Stephanie Dolson and company in the championship run, and losing, Emma Miesemann as well. So there's so many different ways it can go. We want to see more production from E as the season continues, and I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to see that. So, I mean, I just want to give her flowers real quick. As a teammate, as a human, as a player, she has been dominant in the paint and in the game overall, man. And it's just been amazing to see. So, I love seeing this. I love what this means for the team moving forward, how we're going to continue to grow, continue to develop. If you see me looking down right now, I do apologize. We're getting this together real quick for you guys so I could get a couple interviews in. But with that being said, man, let's really get into it and let's have a real conversation about what we really saw in this game from Chennedy Carter. Chennedy Carter has been such a focal point for this team, such a juggernaut, such a spark. She, I was talking to Teresa Weatherspoon last night after the game, and we're going to have a post-game interview in a couple minutes, kind of discussing that. But she has been such a pillar for this team defensively. And it gets in a little bit of foul trouble, but you love that. You love a scrappy guard. You know what I mean? And then just offensively, just a spark. I'm tongue twisted right now because there's so many different ways you could talk about her. Chennedy Carter last night, 8 points off the bench in the first quarter, finishes the night having an amazing night overall. Chennedy Carter, 14 points, +8 in a plus-minus box score, 0 blocks, 4 personal fouls, pardon me. And then you have 4 assists on the night. She's just been great, man. I mean, there's no other way around it. I mean, it's just great. It's great to see, because here's where I was at going into the season. Last year, if we were healthy, we understood that in the James Wade philosophy, the big 3 was going to be Kalia Copper, Rebecca Gardner, and Elizabeth Williams. The Rebecca Gardner was going to be that defensive presence, that anchor. Then obviously you had so many other players getting brought back into that. Marina came into the fold. That is your shooter, so Rebecca Gardner can do her thing. Dana was probably going to come off the bench. And then Elizabeth Williams was going to be your focal point, your big defender that was going to be able to get boards and do her thing. Alongside somebody like that in Rebecca Gardner, you had such a beautiful tandem, and you never really got to see that. And especially with Isabel Harrison going down, Rebecca Gardner going down, a bunch of players. I mean, last year was last year. You know what I mean? This is this year. But under Teresa Weatherspoon, I found a very similar identity to that defensively. Now you have Isabel Harrison back in the post. She's been great defensively. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. She's really collecting defensive boards like it's nothing, like it's apples falling from trees. I mean, she's been phenomenal. I mean, they're just falling into her lap at this point, and she's just eating boards. But she's been great at the glass, man, and I love what we're seeing, especially from Chennedy Carter and Elizabeth Williams defensively. Dana Evans has been priding herself a little bit on defense, and I love what we've seen from her. I asked her about it. She said she really wasn't working on defense overseas because it's a different ball game over there, but she's really been priding herself on that in training camp and preseason and up to date now. So I love that, man. Chennedy Carter has been a spark for this team, and she's been absolutely phenomenal. And, I think what we've seen from her thus far really makes me confident into saying that, when we do, I should say, make the playoffs, we definitely can go tick for tack with just about anybody. I truly do believe that. There's not a doubt in my mind that we're going to be able to be the best versions of ourselves every single night. And I think one of the bigger things for me that I'm looking forward to is to see how battle tested they are. This is a very young core. Getting Camilla back, hopefully this weekend, is going to be huge. Her first WNBA game so happens to potentially be against the team that she beat in the national championship, and alongside Angel Reese as well, beating in the national championship, Caitlin Clark. So I think that's going to be sick. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, of course, and her former teammate, Aaliyah Boston from South Carolina. So there's a lot of storylines that we could potentially see, and I think it's going to be really incredible to have a potential matchup like this be Camilla's first game, her welcome to the WNBA moment. The champs are going to champ, and I think it's going to be really dope to see that, and I'm excited to see what goes into that. But last night, man, there were so many different storylines, so many different conversations, and I've loved what we've seen thus far. I think overall, the big thing for me when we talk about consistency is going to be who you're going to be in crunch time, who you're going to be when things aren't going well, and who you are when things are going amazing. You know what I mean? So there's levels to it for sure. Chennedy has just remained a constant, and I think that's one of the more interesting things to me is really just breaking down how she's going to continue to affect the game and just be one of the more positive players in this ball club. Right now, when you look at it for what it is, you understand that, injuries go down, injuries happen, and it could really dictate a season. We've seen not everybody is the Los Angeles or the Las Vegas Aces. You know what I mean? Candace Parker goes down, and that should be detrimental to your season. But for them, they didn't miss a beat because they already had a championship caliber roster. Right now, Camilla being down is huge. And I think, for us, understanding that you have Brianna Turner, you have Michaela, you have all these other players who are going to continue to have success and continue to drive and continue to make you better every single night. That's everything. That is literally what it's going to come down to for the Chicago Sky moving forward is next man up mentality. And I think Teresa Weatherspoon has really just nailed that into everybody's head that, hey, man, we're here for each other. Kaiser didn't play that much last night, but she got in towards the end of the game, and that's important. That's key. You want everybody to have positive mentalities. You want everybody to be here and want to be involved. You don't want somebody sitting at the end of the bench, no shade at James Wade, but remember Lee, who we faced off against last night. It was great to see Lee out there doing her thing. Lee was here 2022, 2023, and she wasn't even playing. She was DNP'd. She never got any, just garbage time. I don't like saying garbage time because I believe every minute matters for every single player. But, you got some garbage time where Lee's not even getting any action. And it's like, what does that do for you? They send her back to China, and that's just what it comes down to. So, for us to have Kaiser come in, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes because Spoon wants everybody hot, ready for any moment and any situation that comes into it. But here's my interview with Teresa Weatherspoon post-game last night about the situation with Chennedy Carter and what she saw from her this offseason that made her think that she was going to be great this year.
Chennedy, she's been a pillar for this defense and a spark for this offense. What did you see from her this past offseason when you were putting this team together that you thought would be so great for this team?
Just that. When you have a player like that, most people would think that they want to just catch the ball, shoot and go, do whatever they want. She knows how to play the game. She plays with her teammates. She makes everyone better when she steps on that floor because she opens the floor. She gets downhill. She can find people, but she can also finish. She's just electric. She's an incredible player to play with. Everyone loves being around her. The young ladies enjoy being around her. Teammates love her. So we're excited about the way she's taking advantage of the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Thank you,
Appreciate you guys. Y'all look good in here. Y'all look good. Y'all look way better than me, man. And then y'all giving cookies and shit.
Coach is dope. It's never a dull moment. But man, those cookies were fire. I will say that. But it's one of those things for me, man, where understanding who someone is as a person is far more bigger than understanding who they can be on a team. A lot of people are going to ask why the Indiana Fever aren't playing well together. A lot of people want to know, well, they have a solid roster. Well, look at the veterans they brought in. Well, look this and this. Listen, at the end of the day, the separation between a roster on paper, like in a box score, versus whether you have chemistry or not is everything. We have seen teams that maybe on paper they're not great, but they just bang when they're together. They are amazing. They have a foundation. They have an identity of who they are. Not to turn things into Major League Baseball. The San Diego Padres, they bring in Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, all these different players, all these big names, Fernando Tatis Jr., Blake Snell. The list goes on. They didn't win shit because they don't play well together. They don't cohesively come in sync. And I think that's the biggest thing, is understanding a team that not only plays well together, plays well individually, but off the court, they got each other. They have each other's backs. And I think that's one of the more interesting things about this unit, about this team, is sacrifice. And listen, in the most respectful way possible, every single one of these players is willing to punch you in the mouth. And I think that's really the biggest thing for me is, these players want to fight. These players want to work. They want to be the best versions of themselves every single night. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're going to continue to see from this team moving forward. Now, outside of everything else, I think the biggest takeaway for me, what I've seen, working in this team as media, covering this team, really just trying to get an identity of what this season is going to look like. Now, we're only a few games in, so, I have no idea, what the future holds for anybody. But I will say this. Skytown has shown up and shown out. And before we get into Marina Mabrey, before we get into everything else in this game, Angel Reese's performance, her one-on-ones with Cameron Brink, I mean, it was beautiful artwork. Hamby obviously had an amazing night, but I want to talk about Skytown for a second. The Chicago Sky fan base has shown up and shown out every single night thus far, from sellout crowds to Polo G, which is crazy because he just dropped Angels in the Sky, and he was at the Chicago Sky game watching Angel Reese. I'm big on puns, so I thought it was dope. I ain't gonna lie though, Polo, whoever mixed that for you, it wasn't. I like the snippet we saw on TikTok more, but that's a whole different conversation. But I fuck with the song. It had me. I think for me though, seeing Polo G, seeing Tremaine Edmonds, seeing Chicago Bears, everywhere. Kobe White, Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, Keenan Allen, Lupe Fiasco, Chance the Rapper. Everybody's been showing up and showing out. And from sellout crowds of over 9,000 people to the other night being over 7,000 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, I've been covering this team 3-4 years. I have never seen something like this, even when we won a championship. I mean, it's just amazing. It's amazing. So the craziest part is, we're in the lounge, we're waiting for players to come out, and every time they come out, there Sky fans are. 30 minutes after the game, 20 minutes after the game, just waiting for players to come out, for Teaspoon to come out, and they're cheering and they're screaming. And if you ever listen to our post-game press conferences, you can hear fans in the background. And, where a lot of people, I think it's amazing. I think it is incredible. So I got to talk with Marina Mabrey and Dana Evans after the game. Teaspoon was there as well. Here's what Marina had to say about Skytown showing up and showing out.
Game aside, sellout crowds, the fans waiting for you guys outside right now. We've been louder than ever every single game. What does this mean for you guys to see Skytown show up this year?
I mean, honestly, we're just really grateful. Like, they come and they turn us up. Like, they're there. They're kind of like our sixth man. They're super loud, and they're here for us. Like, you hear them, they're booing if it doesn't go our way, and they're cheering super loud. So, it makes you want to go and fight more. So, I hope to see them come back because they're honestly the best fans in the W.
Best fans in the W. Locked in. We got it. We got a quote right there. Best fans in the W. And I 100% believe her when she says, Marina's not going to lie to you. Marina's not going to say something that isn't true. That's not her character. I think she truly does believe that. The crowd is insane. Not just when Angel Reese scores a bucket. And I think that's the biggest thing right there, man, is, we talk about it all the time. It's great that Angel's here. It's great that Camilla's here. And I'm so happy that they are here because we are going to win a lot of games. But Sky fans are here for Marina, for Dana, for E, for Izzy, for everybody around the sun. I mean, you should see Hollywood, Kennedy Carter doing her thing. She's become a fan favorite before our very eyes. And that's just really what it comes down to at the end of the day is Sky fans are going to love you. Even when Candace Parker was here, even when, Allie Quigley and Courtney Vandersloot and Kalia Copper, fans loved Rebecca Gardner. You know what I mean? And that's literally the focal point, the understanding, the idea of what it means to love Chicago hoops. If you're great, we love you. You know what? If you hustle, if you work, if you have that savvy, if you come to work every single day, like they said, to punch someone in the mouth off rip, man, you gonna win the city over. Even people say what they want about the Chicago Bulls. So I know a lot of Chicagoans who aren't rocking with Zach LaVine right now who loved Patrick Beverley when he was here for that exact reason. You might not score 20 plus points per game, But man, if you show up and show out, you got our hearts forever. Joakim Noah. I mean, sure, yeah, defensive player of the year. I'm not taking that away from him, but offensively, Joakim wasn't the greatest. You know what I mean? But he won us over because he was there every single play, every single day. Did not take a day off. Appreciate everybody in the comments right now. Appreciate everybody being here. Everybody tuning in. It's great to see you guys going in and showing up, man. It's incredible, man. We got Jay Ness in the comments. We got Glenn Richardson, Earl Drake, Wayne, Stephanie. I mean, we got everybody here. Coach is hilarious. Coach is something else, man. What I love about Spoon, that's a player's coach. That's a player's coach. I mean, she knows what it takes to not only win games, but she gets it from a player perspective and she gets it from a coaching perspective. You know, this is a woman who has been in the NBA. She's been in the WNBA. She has been at the highest level at Team USA and so many other amazing accolades. I mean, she gets what it means to be a hooper. And I think that's the biggest key right there. If you got guys like me, I'm 5'7", bro. like I've watched hoops my whole life. Am I a hooper? I wouldn't call myself a hooper. You know, there's levels between I play basketball with my boys and being a hooper. I know real hoopers. And that Buddha, Rob, you know what I mean? Charles, Josh, Jordan. I mean, my boys I grew up with. You know, those are real hoopers. I'm just a guy. You know what I mean? And I think there's levels to it. And I think really more than anything, a locker room. I don't know why my skin just got like that. A locker room can feel that a million times more than anybody else. So you definitely need to walk what you talk. You know what I mean? And I think Teaspoon would not ask you to do anything that she couldn't do herself, or willing to do herself. She's willing to die on the sword for her teammates. She's willing to die on the sword for her players. And that's something you love. But let's get into it, man. Marina Mabrey in this game. What Marina's been able to do, 27-7, I believe, plus 17 in the plus minus. She had 4 personal fouls, is what it is, and 1 steal on the night. What we've seen from this backcourt thus far between her and Dana Evans, I love it. It's a Steph Curry, Klay Thompson kind of atmosphere, kind of vibe. You know, you got one catch and shoot, boom, Marina's making plays. Dana Evans, great defense. She could shoot the lights out the ball as well. We've seen her do it. She had a career high 5 steals last night. What did we get from Dana? +9 in the plus minus, 15 points, 4 assists, 5 steals. I mean, she's been phenomenal in only 1 foul at that. You know, I think the big thing for me in Dana and Marina's relationship is continuing to watch them grow, continuing to see them, I should say, be the best versions of themselves and continue to pick each other up. Dana's having a slow night. Marina's going off for 25. You know, Marina's having a slow night or she's in foul trouble. Here comes Dana shooting the lights out the ball. You see that one leg floater that she always does. I mean, it's a work of beauty. It's art. I mean, Dana's been perfecting it, man. And I think it's really incredible to see these two just get the opportunity to play alongside each other. I wanted to see it a lot more last year. But, you know, Dana's slowly become an everyday starter. And I've loved watching her go from literally the last player at the end of the bench in the 2021 championship team to an every night starter and one of the starting guards for the Chicago Sky organization. I truly believe one of them, if not both of them, are going to be all-stars in 2024. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, Marina has the intangibles to be able to do that. There's no doubt in my mind that Dana's got the swag and the shot to be able to do that. I mean, Marina keeps hitting logo shots, Dana keeps hitting logo shots, and it's going to be over with. So I love what we're seeing thus far, man. I think, you know, this team cohesively has just been so great, especially without Isabel Harrison to start the season, without Camila Cardoso up to this point. You know, 6 points from Diamond DeShields in this game. You know, I think what we're seeing from her is really just happiness. Happiness is the key word, I think, from Diamond DeShields. She looks happy. She looks back in her groove. She's not forcing shots. She understands load management. She understands that, you know, you don't have to prove anything. You are home. And I think that's everything, man. That's everything to this organization. That's everything to this team right now. I'm fully here for her and her support and what she's been able to do. They've been having her at the forward spot. I like it. You know what I mean? It's solid. The big thing for me, and I want to talk about it because I think it's important. You know, we're going to break it down. We're going to have a real conversation. You know, I think the real question is, what is this team going to look like when Camila gets back? I think that's really what it comes down to, man. I think there's a lot of different conversations you can have. You know, Izzy's back, so that's another forward. You obviously, Elizabeth Williams has been on an absolute tear. So you have Angel, you have Diamond at the forward, you have Angel at the forward spot. I would imagine. I don't even want to imagine. Tomorrow and throughout the next couple of weeks, we'll have a good understanding of what this lineup is going to look like when they're all fully healthy. But it's a great problem to have. It's a great problem to have when you have so many amazing minds, so many amazing players on your roster. So, if for whatever reason, and I have not had conversations with Coach, I cannot speak for the organization right now. But if you have on the bench Kennedy Carter, Diamond DeShields, Brianna Turner, Michaela, you have Lindsay Allen, Isabel Harrison. I mean, the list goes on. You got some dogs. I mean, some of those bench players start on damn near the 80% of the league. That's period. That's period. Come on. Like, it's really what it is at the end of the day. The Sky might have the most depth in the entire W when everybody's healthy. And if you have a starting five of Marina Mabrey, Dana Evans, and then let's say this is me just hypothetically speaking, you can find a way to have a juggernaut big three, literal big three, in Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and Elizabeth Williams. I dare you to try to get a rebound on this team. I dare you to step in the paint. It's not happening. I mean, this team can do amazing things. So I'm excited about it, man. I think the sky is the limit, no pun intended. You can get your Angel Reese Sky is the Limit t-shirt on Give Us a Shot Network. Make sure you give us a like, give us a follow. You can check me out on the Shy.Kid, Instagram and TikTok. You can find our pre- and post-game interviews and all Chicago Sky content. You can also find and Give Us a Shot, Protect Our Queens, who cover so much more than just the Chicago Sky, the entire W and hoops as a whole. Love what they're doing over there, man. And I just want to say really quick before we get out of here, tomorrow is going to be one of the most interesting days potentially in WNBA history if Camila Cardoso plays, which she has not been confirmed nor denied. Let me check my emails one last time to make sure she has not been confirmed nor denied. Let's see really quickly. We have not seen anything thus far, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what. Okay, no, we do have it. Game status report for June 1st, 2024. Isabel Harrison, probable / active with a knee injury. She has the brace on. She's looked great. Camila Cardoso is viewed as probable / available after her shoulder injury. So Camila Cardoso will likely be playing tomorrow. Sorry about, I just wanted to confirm. I didn't want anybody getting mad at me if she didn't play. That is insane. So tomorrow, WNBA history in the making. Camila Cardoso's first game in the WNBA against a former teammate and national champion, Aaliyah Boston. The woman she beat in the championship just a few weeks ago in Caitlin Clark, and she's doing it with Angel Reese by her side. This could potentially be one of the most watched games in WNBA's history. I'm not overstating that. I think it's a fact. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston versus Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso. The champs are headed to Indy. Going to be a lot of fun. Going to be super excited to see them continue doing what they're doing, continue getting down and dirty, doing their thing, man. I mean, this team has grit. This team has grind. They want to win, and they're going to do it any way possible. So make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you check us out. We will be having post-game interviews and post-game reactions to the Chicago Sky against the Indiana Fever tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in. It's an early game. I believe 11 a.m. Central Time, if I'm not mistaken. Until then, I'll check you guys out later. Make sure you give us a shot. Thanks for watching.